We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, new topics every day.
We are New Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Tuesday, September 16th here in Seoul. I'm Lee Soo-jin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Grace.
Great to be here.
Great to have you, and also Julian's with us.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. And as we step into the second day of the work week, let's take a closer look at what it means to be in your 20s. It's a time full of changes, challenges, and important decisions. And one of the biggest ones is employment, choosing which industry to pursue and where to begin your career. These days, it seems many Gen Zs have a lot of concerns about landing the right job, right, Grace?
Yes, that's right. Your 20s are definitely a formative decade for personal growth, self-discovery, and setting the foundation for your future through exploration and career building. And I've heard that many Gen Zers today are even relying on AI over their friends about their concerns. It seems like the major keywords that young people are consulting AI about are job searching, career path, and changing jobs.
Do you know which keyword that you might have asked AI?
I would have asked to see which industry right now are hiring the most employees, just to boost my chances of getting a job.
That's a smart question to ask. So, Julian, you're also a young person navigating all these choices right now. So how are you feeling about the process of finding the right career path?
Well, not to sound too frank, but it's not really easy for a lot of us Gen Zs to figure out the right career path. Now, reports have shown that the number of young people taking a break here in Korea from looking for jobs or working has reached 504,000, the highest it has ever been. With a lot of unstable politics as well as economic downturn, Gen Zers don't really feel secure while trying to build their own career. I too can relate to a degree. Finding a job is challenging enough, but finding a job that aligns with your education and background as well as the things that you're looking for, such as pay, location, etc., it can really feel like finding a needle in a haystack these days. Yeah, but I honestly feel like it can feel really nerve-wracking trying to build that up, so I'm rooting for all of us looking for a job.
Have you used AI yet?
To look for jobs?
Or to help you with this process?
Well, I use AI to kind of help me make sure that the resume aligns with the job description, but other than that, not much.
So I think we can all agree that finding the right job is one of the biggest challenges for young people today. Being in your 20s comes with a lot of decisions and challenges. So today we're going to discuss what's really going on for young employees. So let's take a look at the screen to learn more about today's topic.
One of the biggest struggles young people face today is finding the right career path. But even after months and sometimes even years of searching, landing a job is just the first step. Many young employees are finding it increasingly difficult to stay in the same position long term, and employment retention among this generation is seeing a sharp decline. Today on News Generation, we'll explore why retention is low and what young people really want from their workplaces and which industries are considered more welcoming and open to hiring young talent.
As we just saw in the video, young people may be managing to land jobs, but staying in them has become an even bigger challenge. In fact, the employment rate for young people has been on a downward trend for 16 consecutive months, highlighting just how tough the job market is for them. To start us off, Grace, could you explain how employment in Korea looks overall right now, what the situation is like specifically for young workers?
Sure. In terms of the job market, the term youth refers to those aged 15 to 29. While the employment rate for all age groups rose last month compared to the same period last year, the number of employed youth decreased by 219,000. Furthermore, according to last year's survey, 60% of new employees quit within a year, indicating a significantly low employment retention rate for young people.
So more than half sounds like a crazy figure, and it's also a well-known fact that for many young Koreans, finding a job is anything but easy. There are countless reasons behind this, factors we've highlighted on the show before as well, from fierce competitions and also shifting workplace expectations as well. But what's even more concerning is that even when young people manage to secure a job, apparently many of them aren't staying for so long. So why is this even happening, Julian?
Well, there's a whole lot of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is due to the economic downturn. As uncertainty continues, companies can often be found cutting back on spending through workforce reduction. So in a nutshell, this basically means that hiring is down and layoffs are happening. So not only are these companies reducing hiring, but voluntary retirement from companies as well is increasing. So because of this, contract jobs is increasing, and even after getting employed as a contract worker, there are many cases one must resign involuntarily as well. So we can see that a lot of these jobs just aren't lasting as long for the Gen Z.
And that really shows how unstable the job market has become, especially for young people just trying to get their foot in the door. At the same time, Gen Z is approaching work with a very different set of values compared to previous generations. So when it comes to choosing a job today, what would you say are the main factors that Gen Z is prioritizing compared to the past grades?
Well, it is said that Gen Z is strongly inclined to consider factors like salary, career growth potential, and organizational culture when choosing their career. And while civil service was once highly sought after for its stable employment with guaranteed retirement, recent trends suggest a shift away from this due to the relatively low salary and limited growth opportunities. In fact, last year, for the first time in 18 years, the preference for civil service among young people fell to second place.
I also remember like civil service being really popular among young people, so it's kind of surprising to see it go from first place to second place, right?
That's a big change.
Right. Do you know what's first place now then?
I believe it's the private sector.
That really explains, I guess the reason for that would be salary, I guess.
Salary. And I don't think that, like in the past, private sector companies are as rigid and strict as before. They offer a lot of benefits now, maybe even equal to the ones that the government offers.
So it's really interesting to see that shift happening. And that really shows how different today's job market is compared to the past. So stability alone just isn't enough to attract young workers anymore. So what kind of work conditions are Gen Zs and really looking for, do you think?
Yeah, it says that 9 out of 10 Gen Z job seekers also consider the in-house benefits of a company before applying. So let's take a look at the stats. According to recruitment platform Jinaksa Catch, 41% of Gen Z said they valued performance-based bonuses, even more so than a 4-day work week, which took up 19% of votes. Other benefits that followed were flexible leave or days off at 14%, summer and winter vacations at 7%, and miscellaneous benefits including support for living expenses for the remaining 19%.
So the results that you just shared with us tells us that while flexible schedules and extra perks are certainly appreciated, young workers are really focused on tangible rewards that reflect their contributions and effort. But of course, it's not just about what they like. There are also certain company policies or benefits that Gen Z finds unappealing or even off-putting. So what kinds of workplace practices are turning them off, Julian?
Yeah, so company events that require mandatory attendance, such as sports competitions or workshops, are one of the workplace practices that Gen Zers strongly dislike. If basic provisions like the 5-day work week or 4 major social insurances as listed as welfare benefits, Gen Zers find this extremely frustrating because these are just reasonable, because Gen Zers are making unreasonable demands. We all want to feel mutual trust and respect, and because these benefits often don't address what Gen Zers are really looking for in a job, Gen Zers tend to prioritize stable jobs, especially in a weak economy when secure positions are just as more important as ever.
So now let's turn to our panelists here. So Grace, when it comes to workplace benefits, what do you value the most? And are there any perks or programs you wish your company would introduce to make work more rewarding?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree with the majority of the responses of the survey that I mentioned and say that bonuses would be the most rewarding incentive for me at my workplace. I mean, it just makes most sense because it gives you the freedom to use that money however you want. And another program or benefit that I would consider a really great perk would be letting people work during their lunch hour instead of making it like a mandatory lunch hour that you take, that's a part of your 8-hour workday. Yeah, because I don't have lunch plans every week. Sometimes I prefer just doing my work while eating. So that should just be considered part of my work hours.
Did you often find yourself working during that lunch hour?
Oh yeah, most of the time, I think 4 days out of the week, I'm just working while eating my lunch.
I mean, fair enough, because technically it doesn't take a solid hour just to eat, so you end up doing work anyway.
Yes.
So I get that. So what about you, Julie? As someone who's currently looking for a job, what kind of company culture or benefits are most important to you?
Yeah, well, many of the benefits that we already discussed are definitely things I'd love to have when when working, such as a flexible work schedule and vacation time. But the most important thing that I look for in a workplace is to feel respected. Now, it might feel really basic to say, but I really do want to feel like I'm treated as a professional. And I guess this really does apply to company culture. For example, instead of more of a hierarchical culture with clear chain of command with the manager telling the workers what to do exactly and no room to really discuss, I prefer a much more open, collaborative environment. And I also really do highly value a work culture that supports professional development and mutual respect.
So far, we've talked about how young workers are navigating today's challenging job market and what they're looking for in terms of workplace benefits. But to get a global perspective, we reached out to our viewers on the Arirang News YouTube channel and asked, which company benefit would you most like to see? And here are the results. So 49% of respondents ranked a 4-day workweek as a top benefit, followed by performance bonuses at 39%. The child tuition support was selected by 10%, while money to spend on culture expenses was chosen by 2%. So the responses show a really interesting divide between those who want shorter, more flexible work schedules and those who want better rewards for their performances, and it really shows just how varied young workers' priorities are when it comes to choosing the right workplace. And to also gain a different perspective on this topic, we'll be speaking with someone who's actually working in HR. And that conversation will take place right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Sarah Park, Head of HR at Globalization Partners. Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So how do the types of jobs that young people actually want compare with the types of jobs that are actually available in the market?
That's such a great question, and it really highlights a key issue we're seeing not just in Korea, but globally. Many young people today are aiming for jobs that feel modern, meaningful, and future-oriented. Things like AI, content creation, sustainability, or roles at global startups. They're looking for flexibility, purpose, and the chance to grow quickly. When you look at the job market, especially in Korea, a lot of the openings are still more in the traditional sectors like manufacturing, sales, or those service-based roles. These might offer stability, but they don't always line up with what Gen Z is aspiring towards. So it's not that young people don't want to work, they really do. It's more that the jobs being created don't always reflect the kind of future that they're imagining for themselves.
Then, Sarah, what workplace benefits and perks are young workers prioritizing these days, and why do you think these matter to them?
A lot of the times, I think young people are prioritizing flexibility, things like hybrid work or shorter weeks that really we saw in that panel that you just did, those results. Those are what young people want to see. Obviously, at the end of the day, many are still focused on financial security because that is a necessity. We're talking about a generation facing rent rising, economic insecurity, and often student debt. So when a company offers clear financial incentives like performance-based bonus, it signals that hard work will be recognized in a tangible way. That matters, especially early in a career. And beyond the money aspect, they're looking for companies that invest in their development. Things like mental health support, mentorship, and real opportunities for growth. It's not about flashy perks anymore. It's about being seen, supported, and valued.
Great. So just to wrap things up, why do you think employment retention amongst young workers are slow, and what can be done to address this issue?
Honestly, I think that a lot of young workers leave because there's a disconnect because what they were promised may not actually be what they actually experience. They come in wanting to contribute, to learn, to be a part of something, but if the culture is rigid, the feedback is unclear, or the growth path feels non-existent, they'll walk away. We also have to remember Gen Z sees work differently. They're not afraid to leave a job that doesn't serve them. They want alignment with their values, but if they feel ignored or stuck, they'll move on quickly. What really helps is simple. Just give them structure, give them support, and most important, listen to them. Regular check-ins, transparent leadership, and mentorship go a really long way. And if companies treat young talent as future leaders, not just entry-level workers, they'll stick around.
I really appreciate how you pointed out for a lot of young workers, they just want something that's actually that everyone deserves to be seen and appreciated. So thank you for highlighting that.
Thank you for letting me speak about it.
Thank you for joining us today as well. So we just talked to a human resource about someone who works in human resource about the challenges young workers face in today's job market and what companies can do to attract and retain talent. So far, we've discussed the challenges young people face in the job market and what they're looking for in the workplace. But we can't talk about jobs and work conditions today without addressing the impact of artificial intelligence. So Grace, how's a rise of AI affecting job opportunities for Gen Zs?
According to a Stanford University study, employment among workers in occupations with significant exposure to AI, such as customer service, accounting, and software development, has been the most affected, with a 13% decline in the employment rate for those aged 22 to 25 since 2022. And this suggests that AI could replace the knowledge and skills that are acquired during formal education, leaving young people particularly vulnerable. However, there are positive signs, such as the easing of political uncertainty in Korea following the presidential election and the stabilization of the business environment due to the lower interest rates globally, which is expected to lead to increased hiring.
So the job market does feel very competitive, but there's still areas with plenty of opportunities. And could you share which areas have these opportunities, Julie? I'm sure many people will be curious about this.
Yeah, well, just like you mentioned, the job market here in Korea feels very, very competitive, especially for the younger generation trying to land a job. However, there are still certain sectors with plenty of opportunities looking to hire young talent. One of them is the gaming industry, which aims to attract consumers through the fresh and innovative ideas of our generation. Also, on top of that, AI and semiconductors, which are receiving focused government investment, may also see expanded opportunities as well. So in any sector, there are opportunities, but those who understand the direction and act first will be the ones to seize them.
Well said. So we've heard about the ups and downs of today's job market for young workers. And as we close, what message of encouragement would you like to share with those who are out there looking for the first or next opportunities? Right.
I remember being in my 20s and filled with uncertainty and discouragement. So I just want to encourage all of those who are searching for jobs to continue to keep your spirits up. Don't give up trying, especially now that prospects are expected to look up for the job market. And I also recommend taking any opportunity that you have to work, even if it's not something that you've dreamt of, since every experience is a valuable one. And companies will choose to hire experienced workers compared to those who don't have any experience at all.
Do you have an experience that really stands out to you before you landed your job where you are now?
I mean, I did a lot of jobs, like translating jobs, a lot of like tutoring jobs. I mean, that wasn't necessarily my dream job, but that still gave me experience. It still built my character. So I think, yeah, those were all really valuable experiences.
And they also opportunities for you to grow your skills as well.
Yes, and also network and meet people.
Right.
You just never know who could give you like the next opportunity for a job.
And that's why people say it's not what you know, it's who you know sometimes.
Exactly.
And it's really important to put yourself out there. So Julian, what about you?
Yeah, for those looking for their first or next opportunity, I can truly empathize. It can be terrifying as well as extremely anxiety-inducing to figure it out all on your own. I've been there myself, looking for jobs as a college student back home in California, and later navigating a completely different job market here in Seoul. While it's important to be proactive by building your skills or building your network, it's also really, really important to take time for yourself. Constant worry and stress about the future won't help, so just be kind to yourself and have faith that things will get better soon.
You had a really interesting experience because you looked for both jobs in California and in Korea. What do you think is like a difference in that experience?
Well, the main difference that I saw was the language, of course. But other than that, I feel like the job portals, the way that you apply for jobs is completely different too. Because back home in the US, we use LinkedIn. And Korea, LinkedIn is still relevant here, but things like Job Korea, for example, is more of a preferred site for looking for jobs.
So it's clear that today's young generation isn't just looking for a paycheck. They want meaningful work, opportunities to develop their skills, and workplaces that respect their values. And at the same time, we've seen that the market isn't always aligned with their expectations, which makes navigating careers even more challenging for young people. So it's important to remember to focus on your priorities and don't be discouraged by setbacks. Opportunities do exist. And for companies, it's a reminder that retaining talent means listening to what employees really want and creating an environment where they can thrive. So this brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation, but we'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and conversations. Big thanks to Grace.
Thanks for having me.
For coming in, and Julian.
Thank you for also having me.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you have the best day. We are
News Generation.